So we as Christians, we exchange our understanding of the world for that which is imparted to us by the scriptures. And as we grow older, as we get into the word, more and more gets revealed to us. And one of the beautiful things about the Bible is that it is written in more than 4 dimensions, that fourth dimension being time.
I have to say, by the way, I've listened to you say that before. And
that's right.
It didn't really click with me until I actually this summer saw Age of Deceit by Gans. And it really laid it out for me in more of a, for instance, when I would write a song, half the time that I'm writing a song, it's not me. It's a gift. It just comes to you. And I'm not saying that's how do I say it? I'm not saying that I'm being divinely inspired, so to speak, because I have the free will to inject any kind of lyricism into it that I choose, right? But I'm talking about the initial melodies that come to me. Now, if God's speaking through these writers, I can imagine that fourth dimension, because I can imagine myself just writing a song like how that's coming from God. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's right. And thank you, by the way, for turning me on to Canary Cry Radio. Those guys are wonderful. A+ in my book.
We love
just
them.
Fabulous. Yeah, I think it could be another, excellent portal out there. And I got to get to the Rob Skiba interview because the audio's already cut. I just got to put the visuals to it.
Oh man,
awesome.
I've been waiting for that one, Leonard. Just saying.
Well, yeah, I've been waiting for it too, but I'm just distracted by all, potential donations, and I have the complete outline in front of me now. If you saw it, you'd laugh. It's 6 pages of points that tells me how to write 40 pages.
Wow.
Now, it's so hard because every sentence I write should be the start of a paragraph, which will never be written. So every sentence has to be an independent, complete thought, and there's got to be no fat in it whatsoever. And a PhD in English said, look, if there's a single word you can take out that prevents you, or if you can take a single word out that doesn't prevent you from relaying a thought, then it's extraneous. But if you try to take a word out and it destroys the coherence of your sentence, then you know that word has to stay there. And that's stuck with me. Okay, why don't we get into the material here?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, why don't we just get a formal start of this and have a short prayer here? Okay, I'll lead here. Father in heaven, I thank you so much for Sam and Dan. I thank you for the willingness to take time out of their schedule to not talk about conspiracy, but talk about reality. You know, Lord, that a third of the angels you created in heaven, which had full knowledge of your plan for the entire universe, rebelled against you. And that's something that we humans can barely grasp. So if there was a rebellion in heaven, how much more so are there continual rebellions on earth against you and against your will? And the beautiful thing about the good news is that no matter where we've come from, we can adjust our will to your will. We can not assume a holier than thou position, but we can be like sheep among wolves who need to be as wise as serpents and gentle as doves. May we never be ignorant. May we never be judgeful or vengeful. We should leave all judgment and vengeance in your hands, because you alone are qualified to carry out justice. But may we never be complicit in evil, not knowing the difference between good and evil, because we never bothered to take the time to study it. And I hope that is the purpose of tonight's talk. May we be constantly glorifying your name, and may our lives and egos and wills diminish, and may you be the center in our minds. Amen.
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 Why don't we just do this on the fly, and I'll give you the keyword searches because you have internet access.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Right. So in Google or whatever search engine you're using, type in 10 modern methods of mind control activist post.
Activist post 10 modern methods of mind control.
There you go.
2010.
Yes. Okay.
Nicholas West, right?
Yes. Perfect. Okay, here we go. It is very important to realize that the concept of media control is only one piece of the big control pie. Okay. If you want to discuss the entire spectrum of control, then you're going to have to discuss educational control, control of the population through advertising and propaganda, control of the population through predictive programming. That is key. People ask me often, do you see Satan in everything? And I say, no, but I see Satan in far too much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I say to people, is it possible that even Christians can get a message from Satan that they perceive to be from God? And the answer to that question is yes. Okay. I can recall a certain Jewish king who visited the witch of Endor because he wanted to know the outcome of a battle, and he was told by God in advance, don't do that. And what happened was that the witch of Endor encountered the occult at a level that she never encountered before. Yeah, and both the certain Jewish king and the witch of Endor were overwhelmed with the occult, and literal activity, demonic activity. And of course, the next day, the Jewish army was defeated, and of course, you've got several hundred years of Babylonian exile. Not a good thing. So, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you are insusceptible or impervious to receiving messages from the occult, especially when you invite them.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what does this have to do with predictive programming? Well, a lot, because if it is possible that Christians can be influenced by the occult, well, then how more possible is it that non-Christians can be influenced by the occult to develop themes and memes simultaneously all over the planet that cause a paradigm shift in the global consciousness, to cause the population in general to view something differently. And a case in point that I made in the last broadcast was the whole zombie theme. We saw that in movies. We saw that in actual Homeland Security releases. Better be prepared for the zombie apocalypse. And I'm watching all this and I'm going, this can only be supernaturally coordinated, because you have the ridiculousness of the World War Z Hollywood film, which has so many flaws in it. I was just laughing.
That was so ridiculous.
Yeah. And I'm going, okay, yeah, it's totally over the top. It has no basis in reality, but it's popular because it's designed to prepare us for what I believe is a near future event where society essentially breaks down and people will behave like zombies.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So if you see it on the screen, then a year or two or whatever months later, you are more apt to accept reality because you've seen it through fantasy before. And that is all just one aspect of control. Then you have sports, politics, and even religion.
It's just constantly softening the blow.
Oh, absolutely. And
it's kind of like soft trauma, isn't it? Like they're slowly showing you what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. And they're so in your face about it. It's like a hypnotist occasionally asking their patient a test question to see if they're asleep or awake. And if they're asleep, then they can continue their programming. If they're awake, then they have to modify their hypnosis, which is exactly why movies are influenced on a demonic or spiritual level, or they can be, to change society like I just described.
And how about, I guess that you might get into this in a little bit, but just real quick, the whole online world. Before you had cell phones and before you had internet and computers, you had to figure out the reactions of people, but now you have instant reactions from people always, using those devices.
Well, if you think it's bad now, and it is bad because people are literally walking off the platforms of trains and so on and getting hit by trains and cars because they're so engrossed in their smartphone in their hands. And if you think it's bad now, most churches that you walk into have a, gentle reminder saying, please turn off your cell phone. I can imagine that sometime next decade, you'll have an usher with a basket saying, please deposit your eyeglasses in the basket. Now, you think about what I just said.
Oh, man. Yeah. Leonard, you're older than me, but I think I'm 13 years younger than you.
Okay.
And I remember going camping and not having a cell phone, not having a TV, not having a computer. If you called somebody, it was an emergency on a payphone. So, and then when you got back, you could tell everybody about your vacation and they didn't know about it because you didn't post anything about it.
I remember that when I was very little.
For me, I guess you can call me old-fashioned and stubborn, but man, I fight that idea so much for myself at least.
Well, I read a study yesterday and also saw it online because I couldn't believe it. And this is not just trivia because this is going to blow your mind. You're going to ask me, how is that possible, Leonard? So here's the factoid. The average screen time that the average teenager encounters every day is somewhere between 15 and 16 hours a day.
That's not hard to believe at all.
I absolutely believe that.
And I asked myself, how is that possible? And then I realized, oh yeah, the average teenager has got a smartphone in their right hand
when they go to sleep.
When they go to sleep, okay, and they've got a laptop in their left hand in front of a TV screen.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting triple screened at home. They're probably getting computer screened at school. And they're falling asleep with their smartphone in their hand. And they're waking each other up throughout the night to send some stupid text message which has absolutely no bearing on anything urgent. But just some stupid comment about, I don't know, Miley Cyrus or... Did you see that joint she was smoking? Oh, that was so cool.
But Leonard, that's important information.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And what I had for supper is so important. I know. Because the entire world revolves around what I had for supper. It's ridiculous. And what you said is actually key. The media is testing you for your reaction. And if some reporter on the street ever dares ask me, what is your reaction to this? I'll say, first of all, it doesn't matter. Second of all, it's none of your business. Let's talk about this.
I just divert the conversation.
And I'll just launch into some real world issue that the reporter never bothered to consider.